Let us understand how to read data from files into collections. Python has simple and rich APIs to perform file I/O. We can create a file object with open in different modes. Open comes as part of the Python core library itself. By default, it opens in read-only mode. It also supports write as well as append mode. However, we will not be getting into all those details because we don't use these core libraries as part of our regular data processing. If it is a data engineering application, either we use PySpark or Pandas to process the data, which have APIs to actually read different file formats into underlying data structures. If it is web or mobile application development, we typically use API calls to get the data and process further. We typically don't use these core libraries to read the files. However, just to get an idea about collections, we are using this primitive function to actually read the data from file into a collection, and then we will see some of the operations on top of collections. That being said, to read the contents from the file into memory, we have APIs on top of file objects such as read. Read will create large string using contents of the files in the memory. So read will actually take care of performing the I/O from the file into the memory. If you are using a plain text file, the contents of the file will be read into memory as a string. If the data have multiple records with new line character as delimiter, we can apply something called as split lines on the output of read. Because the output of the read is nothing but string by default, as a string exposes this function called as split lines, we can use it to convert a big string into multiple records with new line characters delimiter. Split lines will convert the string into list with new line characters delimiter. Now let's perform these operations hands-on so that we understand what we are talking about. First, I am using this sh magic or shell magic to actually interact with underlying file system to validate that this path is correct. If you are using Windows, this might not work, but on Linux or Mac, you should be able to use this to actually review the details about your files. You can see that there is a file in this location. If you want, you can also use tail command to preview the data like this. You should be able to see the results here. As we understand the data now, we should be able to read from this file into the collection using few simple steps. First, I am creating a variable called as path. It is of type string. The path is pointing to the fully qualified path of the file, which we have already validated. Then using open, I am passing that string. It will create something called as IO text wrapper or text IO wrapper. You can see the type of orders underscore file. It is nothing but text IO wrapper. Text IO wrapper exposes an API called as read, which will facilitate to read the contents of the file into the memory. And here the variable name is nothing but orders underscore raw. If you look at the type of orders underscore raw, it is nothing but string. Now the string will contain the entire content of the file, including the new line characters in between. As it is of type string, there is a function called as split lines. You can see the help on split lines. It is nothing but a function which will return a list of the lines in S, breaking the line boundaries. Line breaks are not included in the resulting list unless keepends is given and true. So there is an additional argument which you can pass, which is nothing but keepends. If you set it to true, then even the new line character or carriage return will be retained as part of the list. Otherwise, they will be excluded. Now let me run this, and then let us check the type of the orders. It is of type list. As it is list, we should be able to access first 10 members of the list using this notation. You can see the first 10 members of that list. You can also get the length of the list using this len function. If you are not sure about how to operate on lists, you have to go back to the dedicated topics and sections related to collections. You should be able to understand about these functions in detail. For now, we understood how to read the contents of the file into the string, and then using split lines function, how to convert into a list of strings so that we have collection of strings now, which can be used to process the data. Now using this example, we should be able to go through manipulating the collections using loops as part of the subsequent topics in this section. And also we might use the similar approach in future as well.